Hello, and thanks for joining us. This is Roadmap 2019, where we talk to some of the major actors in Nigeria's march to the polls of next year. I am Ladi Akeredoluale. On this edition, my guest says leakages and inefficiencies in the procurement process in Nigeria are the main conduits for corruption, especially in government and its agencies. My guest also believes that there is still a large problem with security within the country, and that education has not been given the desired attention for it to contribute to development. Now, please join us as we talk to a former member of the House of Representatives and now PDP presidential aspirant, Dr. Yusuf Datti Baba-Ahmed. Dr. Yusuf Datti Baba-Ahmed, thank you so much for speaking with us on Roadmap 2019.
My pleasure, sir.
Now, I'll start from what is probably your greatest passion at this point, and that is education, before we even get into politics at all. What do you make of education in Nigeria at this moment? What do you make of it in terms of standard setting and what we're producing in terms of the output of the educational institutions at various levels?
Regarding the output, permit me to quote former CBN Governor, present Emir of Kano, His Royal Highness Muhammad Sanusi II. While CBN Governor, he said 60% of Nigerian graduates were unemployable, in quote. That is very unfortunate. A couple of years down the line, the percentage would have gone much higher.
Why do you say that?
Yeah, because nothing has happened, particularly in the last 3 years, to reverse the trend. Yeah. So the standards are appallingly unacceptable educational standards. That is manifest in every sphere of life, in public, in private. In public, from the public servants who move our files and treat our files daily, to the quality of security services that we receive, to the quality of engineering works, to the quality of medical services provided, to the quality of education plowed back into the society. Everything you find directly linked to the quality of education produced. It is appallingly unacceptable.
Now, why do you think this is? Some people, if you ask generally, people will say, oh, it's a question of funding, everything is affected by the amount of money that is available for education, that standard-wise, people talk about you've got to commit at the minimum 26% of a yearly budget to education, and that Nigeria has never come anywhere near anything like that. Is it funding, in your view?
There are two fundamental issues with funding. There is the absolute amount, there is the relative amount. The relative amount comes into effect in this regard. That is, how efficient are we in using the funding from government in education. But permit me to now extend it. It is beyond education. Once money is spent by government in Nigeria, the question of its efficiency comes into question. And the answer I'm giving you is generic. However, we started with the world of education, and it happens to be from this perspective that I'm going to answer a question, a phenomenon that is touching every aspect of our lives. How efficient are we in spending our money? Permit me to use the analogy of the tapeworm. Nigeria as a nation has a huge tapeworm in our intestine that takes away the better part of our nourishment. That better part could be anything from 50% to 90%. So if 1 billion naira, for example, is spent, be it on security to provide gadgets, be it on defense to provide equipment, be it on education to build the classrooms, be it on healthcare to provide more chemicals and reagents, maybe if we're lucky, 100 million goes to do the job. Where is the balance of 900 million? Goes into thin air, private pockets, group, individual interests, political interests, and so on and so forth. Now, there is no new Nigeria. There is no changing Nigeria. There is no developing Nigeria without fundamentally changing how efficient we are in spending. What am I saying? How we procure goods, services, and works. There is no Nigeria turning around without changing this fundamentally. So the amount up in absolute terms spent on education is inadequate, and in relative terms, the efficiency in deploying those funds is in fact nearly criminal.
Wow. Now, let me come specifically to why we're here, which is your ambition to be president.
Yes.
Why do you think you should be? Why do you choose to express this ambition at this point in time?
This is the right time to express it. Before now, it is getting late. It is, in fact, late beyond now. Forgive any semblance of immodesty from the question you asked me, but you asked it. I am duly aspiring to be the president of Nigeria because I believe only the enormous powers of that office will grant me the opportunity to turn Nigeria into the Nigeria of our dreams. And because I find myself as someone who truly say what I mean, and I do what I say. I have just spoken to you about procurement. There might have been over 1,000 individuals that have been to the National Assembly in the Fourth Republic. I beg you to go to the National Assembly and find out who earnestly ever did anything about procurement in Nigeria. I did. Irrespective of the Due Process Act, Public Procurement Act, due process that has been in place, I remain the only member in getting to 20 years of Nigeria's Fourth Republic that sponsored the bill called Prohibition of Inflated Government Contracts Bill. If you ask me one thing that will turn Nigeria around, it is that. So I say what I mean, and it is the right thing, and I do what I say, and it is the right thing.
Now, there will be many people who will say, how do you differentiate yourself from the others?
That's just what I told you now.
Just that one thing?
Just that one thing. I am that simple. I'm that straight.
But in that case, I should ask you to expatiate a little on that, because many people hearing you will not get what you're getting at.
Yeah.
You talk about the Prohibition of Inflated Contracts Bill.
Yeah, as an example.
Yeah, what does that mean, and how do you relate that to turning Nigeria around, as you say?
Right. Nigeria spends money, and we don't tend to see the results of the money being spent. You just asked me about education.
Yes.
And I'm saying that there is lack of efficiency in spending money. That lack of efficiency I'm speaking about is another way of presenting the corrupt and criminality aspects of inflating government works, products and services in the process of their procurement to enrich selves. And the corollary is that if you stop that, automatically you are multiplying by a high factor the amount of products, the amount of works, and the amount of services available to your government instantly, without spending more. With the 1 billion naira I used to you as an example, if you take out the 90% inflation in 1 billion naira, you are getting 9 to 10 times the amount of products. You are getting 9 to 10 times the amount of services and works. So if 10 kilometers of road is done, you could easily achieve 100 kilometers with the same amount. This is the beginning of a new Nigeria. Any well-meaning leader in Nigeria that does not do that does not announce it from the Eagle Square, that this is the beginning of a new Nigeria, is about to fail Nigeria again.